I'm Jack Lucas Caffrey, and today I'm going to be celebrating the 20th anniversary of F-Zero GX, one of my most favorite racing games of all time. How could you blame me though? This game is incredibly fun and challenging to this day, and it came with 41 unique drivers and 26 different racetracks. You could even customize your own machines, which I never did, play a stupidly hard story mode, that breaks the fourth wall at the end, and best for last, the game came with an absolute banger of a soundtrack. That you could also buy separately, which is what I did. And so, to celebrate the 20th anniversary of F-Zero GX, I thought it would be a genius idea to not only play the game, but also interview the people who may have actually voiced in the game as well. So, starting off with the voice actor of Captain Falcon. Yes, he is here with us. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Eric Kelso. How are you doing?
Hey! I'm doing good. It's 10 a.m. here in Tokyo, and it's a nice day. No rain, a little bit cooler than it has been. But yeah, doing good, thanks.
Lovely, lovely. And we've also got as well the voice for Pico in F-Zero GX as well. So ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Paul Lucas. How are you doing?
Hey, I'll give myself a round of applause. Hey, I'm doing great. Thank you. Thank you. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. All right, calm down. Yes, I'm doing fine. It is 9 a.m., just after 9 a.m. in Singapore. And like Tokyo, where Eric is, it's a fine day here.
Well, that's good to hear as well. And we've also got the person who might have voiced Kate Alen in F-Zero GX. Yeah, you heard that correctly. Might have voiced it. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Lisle Wilkerson. How are you doing?
I might be okay. Hello, everyone.
She might be Lisle.
Yeah, she might be. It might be just someone who just looks exactly like her. We'll get into why it's a bit of a maybe for why Lisle may or may not have voiced the character in the game. But anyways, what I'm going to do first, I'm going to start the Grand Prix mode, and I'm going to play a couple of levels in the game. Starting off with Pico, going to start with Pico and play him for a few levels. I'm going to play him for a few levels, and then I'm going to play what might be Lisle's character for a few levels, and then after that, I'm going to play the story mode, which is focused on Captain Falcon, the man himself. So you'll get to hear all the voices in the game.
Oh, so this is looking familiar now.
Right, so I suppose we should probably start off with the proper interview while I'm playing the game, because I'll be able to play this really ridiculously hard game, no problem. But I suppose the first question I'd like to ask is that you all were based in Japan at one point, with Eric still actually in Japan. So how did you all end up living in Japan at that part of your life?
Well, Lisle grew up in Japan.
Oh.
I was bamboozled. I moved there when I was 5. My parents told me I was moving to Candyland, where I thought there'd be lots of candy. And it wasn't Candyland, it was Tokyo. So that's why I moved there when I was 5. I was bamboozled. That's my story.
There's a lot of candy in Candyland.
There is.
The mochi candy.
Brilliant. Eric and Paul, what about you?
Go ahead.
No, I insist.
Okay. I came here in 1986, right after I graduated university, and I started doing voice work around 1990. And some of the first things that I was doing was games, and that was really a nice way to just be thrown into the deep end all of a sudden, and had a lot of fun, and still doing it. Not as they don't make as many games here now, or voice them here now as they used to, but still working in Japan, still enjoying life in the big Mekon here.
Brilliant. And Paul, yourself?
Well, I had been working in special effects in California, in the Bay Area. And a friend of mine was a fashion model, runway model. You guys know Brett Coleman.
Yeah, familiar.
Yeah. Brett Coleman is the guy who actually got me to Tokyo.
Oh.
And yeah, so he and I had been friends for quite a few years. And one day he said, "Hey, Lucas, I could probably get you an audition, come on over to Japan and you can teach a little English and I can get you an audition. You can try your hand at the industry over here." So I thought, why not? I was working in special effects between projects, had nothing to do, so I went and I did an audition for Sony Handycam, and I got it. And so then it wasn't a voice job, it was an acting job. I was just a dweeby, always a dweeby, dorky guy. And with a great big, huge wife who the holy living crap out of me on these commercials. And everybody thought it was funny. Look at the dweeby dude getting beat up by the great big lady.
Yeah.
They asked me to start doing the voiceovers for those commercials, and then from there I kept going. So.
Well, there you go. And you kind of explained there how you ended up getting into acting, Paul. So, Lisle and Eric, how did you actually get into the whole world of voice acting?
So for me, I started working at radio at the age of 18, 19. There was a brand new radio station that was starting up called J-Wave. I think it still is the #1 radio station in Japan. So I started working for them actually, and was on the staff side, but I loved it so much, so I started auditioning for radio parts and started DJing, and then that led to getting like voice acting and stuff like that. So that's how I got into it.
Pretty cool. And Eric, what about you?
For me, it just by chance, I was having a drink at my local bar in Yotsuya, and another guy used to drink in there as well, named Julian McFarlane.
I remember Julian.
Right, remember Julian? And he was one of the top main old school voice actors and narrators, announcers and stuff in Tokyo. And he called his wife, who was his agent, and she, when they had those giant pink phones,
Yeah.
I remember those.
Yes, I do.
We actually used one in Shenmue. There's some scenes with that.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
Right? And then he talked to her, and I guess he was already booked to do an educational recording, but they wanted him to do a TV commercial, which pays 100 times better. And so he asked me if I could cover him for the educational recording. And I said, yeah, I don't know, can I? Can I do it? He said, yeah, you got a decent voice, you're a smart guy, you figure it out. And so I did that, and I liked it, and he kind of gave me that contract that was every month or something. And so that's how I started doing it. The studio liked me. I liked the studio. That was the Tokyo Rokon when it was over in Higashi Ginza in the old building. And then I just kind of heard through the grapevine, it's like people actually do this full time for a living, and then I learned about how you make a demo tape, and literally a cassette tape at that time.
Gee.
And found out some agents through different people. There was no internet or anything at the time, so it was really hard to figure out, how to get your foot in the door, but eventually I did. And then I cut back on some teaching. I was teaching high school and university and things at that time. Then I got pretty quickly I got some NHK gigs teaching English on the radio and things like that. And then just kind of as the voice work progressed, I cut back on my teaching, and then I was able to get into it that way. Because it's kind of a catch-22, if you don't have an open schedule, you can't get jobs. But you can't get the jobs either until you get the jobs, and so you have to still make a living. So luckily I was able to kind of, work my way into it gradually.
Yeah, which is incredible that you've been able to do that, because not all actors can. Some they try and it just doesn't work out for them. But in the case of you, it absolutely did. So I absolutely
it's not as busy as it used to be, because so many people kind of caught wind of that it's a good gig, and so there's a lot more competition now.
Yeah.
So I don't get as much work as I used to.
Not to mention, there on a lot of the big money games, Hollywood has got their hooks in there. So
they're recording most of them in L.A. or Texas now, it seems.
Yeah, that seems to be the way now. Which you look at a lot of older games, it kind of was more, based where the studio was. So like, even if you go to like American games like Halo. That was all like a lot of the voice cast for the first game was based in Chicago, where Bungie was. But then when they got bigger and got more money, the Hollywood guys came in and all that, because as you do. So
there's a lot of money in this. I'm in.
Exactly. Now, Eric, you did mention Shenmue there, and that's probably where most people would know all of you three from, is the video game Shenmue. Absolute great game if you haven't played it. Really great little video game that is. And you all got to voice multiple characters in it. So, Eric, Lisle, and Paul, talk to me about the characters that you did in Shenmue, and what was it like working on such a great game like that?
I was in Shenmue 1, I was Fukusan, who was the main character's buddy in the dojo, and then I was a bodyguard, Chinese bodyguard named Guizan. And then in Shenmue 2, I was kind of the second lead character. His name was Ren, who was a Chinese gang leader. So I got to play 3 very different characters, and it was a whole lot of fun.
Mm-hmm. And Lisa, what about you?
In 1, I do play a character in 1, but I think it's like a random, I don't know, marketplace woman or something like that. In 2, I do Shuing Hong and Joy and Yuan. And then in 3, I did a little bit for Joy.
Lovely. And Paul, what about you?
I played the character of Chai, and also the character Landi. And I'm not exactly sure where my voice ended up in 1, 2, and 3, but I know it's there. I think most of my work is only in 1. Because I don't know if I know that Landi. I heard Landi is in 2, but I don't know if you ever hear his voice.
Yeah, you hear his voice a few times, and I believe you also voiced a different character in Shenmue 2 called Sam. I don't know where Sam is. I believe he might be one of like Ren's like gang members or something, but I wouldn't recognize him straight away.
Because I remember recording lots and lots of random lines that could have been used and chopped in and edited. They could have ended up anywhere. I really don't know. What happens, or what did happen then, is you just take a one-time buyout. So you don't. It's not like you get royalties or anything.
Yeah.
They own your recordings, and Sony can do whatever they want with them.
Yeah, I get that. I don't think that's changed much, but it might with those strike things happening. I'm not entirely sure though. But
with bigger name actors, then they're going to have a whole different contract than we got back in those days.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. But what was it like working on those games at the time, the Shenmue 1 and 2? Like, what was it like at the time working on the game, and how fun was it?
It was a lot of fun. Depending on what parts you got or what you're doing on the day, but a lot of the exertion sounds are just grunts and kicks and things like that. That just kind of wears you out after a while. You feel like you've been working out.
Eric, those scripts, they were all vowels, like lots of O's Cheerios, lots of
And but I was lucky enough to get 3 pretty interesting characters, especially Ren. And I did a lot of work with Corey, who was the main character of Ryo. And we did a lot of like running together and fighting together. And, you know, for a lot of it, we were handcuffed together. So, you know, we actually held our hands out like that as we're recording. And so that was a lot of fun. I think Shenmue was more, I felt more like a voice actor. Because we actually had characters and lines and things. So that was interesting.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Agreed.
Absolutely there. What about you, Lisle and Paul?
Go ahead, Lisa.
I did quite a bit of recording as well with Corey, which was a lot of fun because usually with video games, you know, you're there in the studio all by yourself. So it was kind of, I felt like it was a little bit of a family, you know, like a lot of us. And that was just a lot of fun because we all really like each other a lot. You know, we like working with each other. And so I was always looking forward to coming into the studio and, you know, recording for that day. I enjoyed it. And, you know, Sega was one of the studios that I went to so much over the years. So it was a really friendly, very at-home kind of atmosphere. Even in the studio, you know, we knew the engineers, and you know, it was a really, really comfortable situation, I felt.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It was. I think you hit the nail on the head, Lisa. During the '90s, when we were really doing a lot of our work, it felt kind of like a family. We all knew each other. And we'd show up, oh, I didn't know you were going to be here. Oh, look at it's Lisa. Hey, Eric, hey, what's up, dude? And we just always belong in the studio, no problem. It didn't really seem like, didn't feel like work to me. It just was a whole lot of fun, and then you get a paycheck.
Yeah.
Better than that.
Oh, I mean, you're basically not working a day in your life at that point.
Well,
It was great. You know, I teach drama at one of the international schools here in Singapore.
Just about to ask that.
The other day, I'm sorry?
I was just about to ask that.
Well, the other day, one of the students caught wind that I had done some computer game voice work. I don't know how he found out, but so he asked me about it, and I pulled up an old YouTube clip of Chai fighting, and at first he didn't believe it was me. He said, "No."
Yes, it is Chai.
And then he blew him away, and he was, oh my God! Starts running around telling all of his friends, did you know Mr. Lucas? Mr. Lucas, oh my God!
Oh God! Do you know, so Paul, that's actually kind of funny that you mentioned that, because I had gotten a random comment on my YouTube channel on the interview that we did together on our own, and I had just this random account say, he's my drama teacher, LMAO.
that's so funny. That must be who that was.
Yeah, or someone similar.
I wonder. So I gotta ask Jack, how are you doing at this game? I can't really tell. Are you killing it, or is it killing you?
I've been killing it for now. It'll get harder later, and I've actually beaten the championship with Pico, so you're gonna actually hear his voice. Finally, you're gonna finally hear his voice, because they for some reason the game decided to do like post Grand Prix interviews, where you get to interview the driver and ask them a question. So we're gonna ask Pico a question, and you're gonna hear Pico respond back.
Okay. Well, when do we get to hear that? Any minute now?
Yeah, you're actually gonna hear it like right now, because like as you can see here, the screen's gotten a little brighter, and the results of how well I've done are coming up. But I could skip that, which I'm gonna do.
I want to what I did for Pico. I can't really remember.
Well, I'm just gonna let you know, it kind of sounds like an alien chai.
Oh, really?
It's
Oh,
like
that wouldn't surprise me.
it's an alien sounding chai. So
Okay. Look at the animation in this game too. Boy, have
I
they
know.
come up.
but yeah, he's it's definitely a bit rough on the edges, that's for sure. And anyways, we can ask Pico a few questions here. So we have 4 that we can ask him, but only 1 gets answered. So we have kudos on your expert victory. What are your plans now? What about that prize money? Or what's your favorite
What's your
foods?
favorite food?
Which one we going for?
What are you gonna do with the prize money?
All right, okay, that's what we'll do.
How will you use the 1 billion space credits in prize money?
Sponsor the Pico Cup, the most thrilling race in F-Zero history.
I see. Thank you for the interview.
So there you go, there's Pico, Paul. Right, so we're gonna ask you a little bit about Pico, whatever the hell you remember of the characters. Firstly, you can kind of hear from the character that he's a bit alien sounding, but he kind of has a bit of a chai sound to him for some reason. Do you think the director went up to you and said, "Hey, you know that chai character you did in Shenmue? Could you just do that but with an alien?"
Maybe if I'm being perfectly honest, it was so long ago. I mean, when do you know what the release date on that game was? I don't really.
Yes, it was July 25th, 2003.
2003. Huh.
Yes.
Well, see, I had already left Japan at that point, so I left in 2002. So my guess is that I recorded it, well before they released it, obviously. And then, I had recorded some lines. Oftentimes, you don't even see the game. I remember that character. I remember seeing the character, but I don't. Yeah, I doubt I saw any actual footage because when I hear the playback, it doesn't sound much like I even know what I'm talking about.
Story of my life, man.
And I gotta say, in those days, that happened a lot. We'd get a script. What the hell is going on in this scene? I have no idea.
True.
Oh, just take your best chance. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. Go ahead, Paul.
Well, I was just going to say, so in those old games, a lot of people say, wow, the acting sounds kind of funny and weird. Well, it was funny and weird, not knowing what you were talking about.
Yeah, we get some really weird direction, like in the film that Lisa was in, Lost in Translation. Remember the scene where he's directing Bill Murray when he's doing, holding the whiskey and acting, and he's just giving him these bizarre kinds of directions. And we used to get things like that where the director, I don't know if he didn't know what he wanted or just wasn't able to explain it, but they give us the most bizarre directions, and so a lot of times we really didn't know what was going on.
Yeah. And to be perfectly honest with you, I can actually get the vibe from it because, like, you can really tell, even the Mr. Zero interviewer guy, who I believe that voice actor is Jack Merluzzi. I believe it's him. So
Jack Daniels.
Go ahead.
Calls himself Jack Daniels, or he used to anyway. Jack
Merluzzi.
Well, yeah, you can kind of tell even he doesn't like fully know what's going on in the scene, so you can kind of tell it's a bit of like a back and forward, not knowing the context of the scene.
Oh yeah.
I remember getting a direction once that they told me his favorite food is chocolate. And I
Like, when are
didn't
you
know.
supposed to do
And
that?
I didn't know what to do with that.
Oh my god.
That
That basically explains our career.
You know, and I've been told like his blood type is B or something. You know?
Yes!
It's
Yes.
like I don't know what to do with that.
Lisle, you seem to be laughing a lot, so this must be true. So, do you have any funny directions that you got from a game?
Oh, constantly. Like, I mean, yeah, always the whole. I mean, even with Shuing, I remember with Shuing Hong with Shenmue, I would get must be soft but hard. Soft.
Right.
What?
Like this, like super contradictory. I'm like,
Yeah.
you know, and so you just do another take and then they're like, oh, that's so good. And I'm like, I pretty much did the same thing. I don't know what I did different. Yeah.
Yeah. No,
Me too.
I've had that abroad on holidays where you say like a word, like an Italian or Spanish word or something, and they'll be like, "What on earth are you talking?" No, I'll give you a great example. It was in Rome. All right, it was in Rome, and my dad was looking for like a Red Bull drink, so I said to the waiter, you know, could we get a Red Bull? And she's like, we don't sell Red Bull. I don't know what you're on about. So I got her a picture of Red Bull and she was like, ah, yeah, Red Bull.
How did I say that?
Like, what did I say differently?
So they brought you a blue cow.
Probably. And Paul, did you ever have sort of a funny direction like that? Like just as bad as that?
Yeah, all the time. But that's kind of why I mentioned it. You know, you'd get a script, but no pictures or video to go with it. It happened a lot. And you're just kind of blindfolded. You don't really know what the context is. And they would try to explain it. I'm trying to remember. I mean, I don't remember anyone telling me, my character likes chocolate and action. So I
can't concentrate on the game. I'm laughing that much.
Yeah, I'm just I can't quite remember. I do remember Shenmue though. I remember Yu Suzuki being there.
Oh,
he came in. Yeah, once or twice, and I was recording with Corey, and everybody was like, "Oh, the end of that, so here comes Yu Suzuki." They were all really. Everybody stood at attention practically when Yu Suzuki was around. So, but I didn't know who he was, and so I just said hi, and kind of my usual goofy self. And Corey was saying something like he's known as gaming royalty. You watch what you say, or something like that. But it wasn't really direction for acting. It was just, be careful, because Paul Lucas is kind of goofy and silly, and they didn't want me to embarrass the studio in front of Yu Suzuki, so, which I've done plenty of times. Embarrass myself. Else. So, yeah. But I love the chocolate direction.
oh gosh.
Great.
Yeah.
That is great.
And what I'd like to ask you also about the games is, like, how many of the games that you worked on were you actually told like anything about when the game came out? Did that even happen?
None. Never, none. Yeah.
God,
No,
that
once they've recorded you, you've been used and discarded. They couldn't care less. Done.
And also, I mean, this was before IMDb, you know, I mean, we were not given information really on the name of the game, a lot of times even our character name, even though obviously, we find out the character name, but then you forget it. I mean, you just do gig after gig, and you have no idea when that's going to come out either. Which is why, people, to this day, I get people all the time coming up and say, "Oh, were you in this game?" I'm like, maybe. I have no idea. I don't know. That's the stuff I've been. So, yeah.
Oh my goodness.
It's true. It's true. Because all three of us have done, over 100 games. I can't remember what all I've done. It all melds into a blur.
Yeah.
And I think also we don't really play the games.
That doesn't help.
Correct.
So
That
we
does
don't
not
even
help at all.
we never even hear our characters or remember what they are or who they were. And like Lisle said, sometimes you'll do all of the voice acting for a game, and they will never even tell you the name of the game or when it's coming out or anything like that. So there's been games that we've done before that we have never even known the name of the game, so we don't know that we're even what we're in.
Goodness gracious, that is right. I think it's gotten slightly better now, especially when in regards to Sega, because a few months ago I got to interview the singer of the latest Sonic game, Mary Kirk Holmes, and they were telling me that for the first couple of meetings about the game, it was very cryptic. There was practically told nothing about it and what it was for. And then it kind of hit a point where they were telling them, listen, you're writing the main theme for the next Sonic game, so do a good job. So I think it's gotten slightly better. Not sure about Japan though.
I think it
for
has
acting.
to, because with internet, with social media, I think now, right? It's almost like when you're a voice actor, the studio expects you to promote it on social media. So, now they do give you that information more than usual. Yeah.
Now, I've reached the part where we might hear Lisle in the game. So now we're going to ask perhaps Lisle's character a little question in the game. So So we got a couple of questions to choose for. We have congratulations on your victory. What are your plans now?
What are your
and
plans
how about the prize money?
now?
All right, what are your plans now? Okay, let's go.
What are your plans now you've won?
Recording, honey. I can make a great song out of this.
I see. Thank you for the interview. This has been a Speed Crazy Dream
That's some
Extravaganza
interview.
episode of
So, Lisle, if there's anyone who knows your voice the best, it would be you. So, was that you or not?
I don't know. I do have a voice that sounds like that, I will say.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like my smooth operator voice. So it could have been me, but I really have no idea. No idea.
Oh, God, that's...
And, so I can't unfortunately tell you anything about the character either because I have no idea.
No, that's funny that you mentioned that, because I actually did try listening to all the sort of voice clips that Kate Alen had in the game, and I'm going to be honest, some of them sounded like you, and some of them didn't, which was really tricking me out. So I have this weird theory regarding the character, and I'm starting to kind of believe it because Sega have done this before. I have a funny feeling Kate Alen might actually be voiced by 2 actors instead of just one.
At the same time?
Yes, because I've in a few Sega games, specifically Sonic Adventure 2 and Sonic Riders, I believe it's those games. In Sonic Adventure 2, Shadow the Hedgehog has 2 different voice actors in one scene.
It's all going according to plan.
What are you doing? You're almost out of rings.
And then for Sonic Riders, they had the voice of Dr. Eggman. For all the cutscenes, it was the guy that was doing it at the time and still doing it, Mike Pollock.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome everyone.
But all the like video game exertion sounds, they were done by the previous Eggman voice actor.
Do you think you can beat me?
And it was like really strange. So that's kind of thinking maybe that could be it.
Sometimes I do know that studios will use some of the old stuff. Like,
yeah,
I know that they've done that with Tekken with Nina Williams for a while, where the inside the game is actually, I forgot her name. I think Mary Elizabeth, whatever. The one who's doing it now. But until like very recently, the moments where she's like, "Time to die," and like all that stuff. It was still my voice, which is kind of bizarre. Yeah, but I mean, I don't. Yeah, sometimes I feel like they do that kind of stuff. I don't know though. Who knows?
Yeah, I do. I think if they can recycle, they will recycle. I get that vibe. That's what they kind of like to do.
Oh yeah. I saw that lots of times. That's why in one recording, there is no video because they haven't made the next version yet.
Yeah.
Right? But we have an idea of some lines, maybe some generic lines that will be useful in the future. So let's record a bunch of those, and then you're done.
Yeah, and like for Virtua Fighter.
Yeah.
Lisle and I think we recorded that once for the first game, and
they're still using them.
But we're in like 4 or 5 different versions of it, and we never recorded it again. We never got paid again or anything. We just did that one day.
We never even knew again. Exactly.
Yeah.
We didn't even know.
Yeah.
Now, what we're going to do is we're going to go into the story mode of F-Zero GX, which is a ridiculous little...
Captain!
Yes, we're Captain Falcon. It's a story about... how do I describe this story? If you're expecting a Shenmue tier story, oh boy, you're not going to get that in F-Zero GX, because this is the goofiest, dumbest, but funniest story you'll ever hear in your entire life. So, there's a little prologue cutscene. I'm not going to play that because none of you are in that. But in Chapter 1, this is where we get to meet Captain Falcon in the game for the first time in the story. And Eric, you got to voice Captain Falcon in the game. So, how did you get the role of Captain Falcon? And what was it like voicing such a badass character like Captain Falcon?
They just chose me. I did 4 characters in that game. I'm Captain Falcon, his evil twin brother, or I don't know, twin, but evil brother, Blood Falcon. I'm Billy, and I'm Jack Levin. So I got 4 different drivers. But Captain Falcon was kind of fun because I don't play a lot of good guys. I tend to get kind of the bad rough guys a lot of times. So it was kind of fun to play an actual, like, a real hero kind of guy. Black Shadow, you'll never beat me.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Oh.
So he's like a classic real hero, like almost like he's in the military or something.
Yeah.
So that was kind of fun.
Oh yeah. And what I love about the interpretation that you did in Captain Falcon, because there's 2 kind of main interpretations that I would see. If we exclude the anime of F-Zero, we just focus on the games. There's kind of like 2 interpretations. There's the one in Super Smash Brothers, which is very done by Ryo Horikawa, which is very exaggerated and funny, and like the whole personality is in the voice. Whereas what I find with your interpretation, it's a bit like kind of going back to Halo. It's a bit like the Master Chief in Halo, where it's kind of like he does the badass stuff on the screen and everything, but he uses as little talking as possible, so when he does talk, it's badass and epic. That's what I tend to find with your interpretation. Did you tend to find that that's what you were what you were directed to do, sort of like a,
I don't know. They just said he's a tough and he's a good guy, and so I just kind of gave him that kind of voice. But I didn't hear the other voices. I didn't hear the previous characters or afterwards at all. They just said, this is what he looks like, a drawing of what he looks like. And I just did a couple voices, and the director probably just said, okay, let's go with that one. And we did.
Yeah. Oh well, it was a good voice, and it worked very well for this game. And as I beat the first level now. There he is. Falcon is getting out of his vehicle. He's
Eric, they have you wear the cape for that one.
No, I brought my own.
Of course.
And he's brought his own cape and tights.
Wow! No way.
Just to get into it.
And I just happened to be wearing them that day. I didn't even know I was doing that character. It worked out really well.
Lisle, wasn't it you? You used to have. I think you used to have some leopard tights. I do remember leopard. Leopard
boxing gloves I had.
What has this conversation turned into? God, that 180 real quick.
I probably did have leopard print.
I'm pretty sure you had leopard. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
You went through your phase.
Oh my god.
I still have leopard print. See?
Brilliance.
Everything has got to have some leopard. That's all there is to it.
Exactly.
Yeah. So anyway, in this cutscene here, you can see that Captain Falcon is kind of chilling, and then he gets stopped by this guy here, Samurai Goroh, and he's going, oh, you know, doesn't care. But basically, Samurai Goroh, he wants Captain Falcon's racing vehicle thing, so he's challenged him to a race. That's practically the whole game. They challenge you to a race, and that's the story. And it repeats.
It's looking a little, doesn't it?
Yeah, it did look like Mad Max kind of.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It does look like Mad Max.
Yeah. Now that you say it, yeah.
The Aussie and all these wacko characters with weapons.
yeah. Now that you say it, yeah, and they are in like a canyon, the Red Canyon, to be specific, and. So anyway, what we have to do in this little mission, we have to beat the Samurai Goroh fella, or else we lose the racing vehicle. Oh no! So...
Racing for pink slips.
Yeah, exactly. So we're gonna go and... now this is where the game starts to get a bit ridiculously hard, because for some reason, the developers of the game, they decided to make the hardest, like one of the hardest racing games going. So, like, if you don't know, like, how to play the game, it is a learning curve, and you're going to be learning this game for quite some time. But no, it had a not like short development cycle. It was about, maybe about a year or two they put the game together, and it was actually the first video game that Sega and Nintendo worked on together. So that was a first because they were rivals for years. Oh god, and when you hit the boulder, you kind of lose all your health, so yeah, I don't think I'm gonna catch up to him. Great. Oh great. But yeah, they spent a bit working on the game, and it was they had two of the big producers at the time, Shigeru Miyamoto, who worked on Mario. He was the producer of the game, and so was the producer of Daytona USA. He was also one of the producers of the game as well. And released on the GameCube 20 years ago. And it was also an arcade game as well. And yeah, I didn't catch up to Samurai Goroh, so yeah, I lost that mission. Great, I have to start over again.
Who's the maker of this game?
The maker, it's Nintendo and Sega.
Okay.
Both.
Nintendo and Sega.
Yeah, so it was the first time they worked on a game together. They were never known for doing it, but they decided to team up, and this was the first one they did.
Yeah.
So
I remember the very first Game Boy. Do you guys remember getting your first Game Boy, or did you ever get one?
Never had one.
I've never had any kind of video game in my life.
Me too.
Oh, really?
I've only played video games like 5 times in my entire life. Like, I remember I played Pong when that first came out at a round table pizza place, and then I played Space Invaders a couple of times, but I didn't like Space Invaders. It was too stressful. I don't like things trying to kill me. And then I played Asteroids a couple of times. I liked Asteroids better, but I played Virtua Fighter or Tekken. I think I played Tekken once at an arcade in Japan because I just wanted to hear my voice in a game. And but I've literally put my hands on like game controllers less than 10 times.
Goodness,
in my entire life. So, I don't really like any kind of games or sports with scores or competitions. I'm just not a competitive person, so I don't care if I win or I lose. So I don't really get the joy out of it that most people do.
Yeah, I get that. And will I get that guy? Will I get him? Yes, I got him! I got him just on the line! Oh, God.
Yeah. Way to go, dude. Way to go.
Oh, God, that was ridiculously hard, but I got him in the end. Now, I know Eric just mentioned there about hearing his voice in an arcade game with Tekken or Virtua Fighter, but Lisle, I'd like to ask you a little bit about hearing your voice in Crazy Taxi for the first time, because I believe that was a funny experience, that.
It was. I was on a date, probably wearing leopard print stockings.
Oh my gosh.
I was going on a date with a guy. We just started kind of dating, and he was definitely into video games. And so he came to pick me up. I was DJing in Shibuya, and he was like, "Oh, there's this game that I'm really into. So before we go to the movie, let's go to the arcade real quick so I can play this game." I'm like, wait. Okay. So I go, and I'm listening. I'm watching this game, and I'm listening, and I hear this voice, and I'm like, that sounds so much like me. That's kind of creepy. And then all of a sudden, I was like, oh. It was Gina from Crazy Taxis. It was me, and I totally freaked out, and I was like, DJ, we have to leave. What's going on? It was just all like, very dramatic. I was like, oh my gosh, that was me. I can't believe that. That's so weird. Yeah. So anyway, but we didn't go on a date. I don't think we went on a date after that though either. I think he was so freaked out by the whole thing.
It was your voice until you told him?
I didn't know it was my voice. I just kept listening to the voice going, wow, that sounds really familiar. That sounds so familiar. Wow. And then finally just hit me, and I was like, oh my God.
I thought maybe he was setting you up, like he knew it was your voice. Hey, I'm going to play this game.
Well, wait, actually.
No.
Oh, okay.
No, because I was about to say that maybe he could, because if he was really good at Crazy Taxi and he got like a Class S license, he would have found your name in the credits. So like,
But I think it just came out, really, right? I don't know. I mean, also, I don't even think I told him I did video game voices. So I don't think he would have been looking for that. He knew I DJ'd and I was in radio and that, but I don't think he even knew that I did voices. I mean, I barely knew that I did voices for video games back then. So, yeah.
Oh my God. Right, well, we're gonna go on to Chapter 3 now, High Stakes in Mute City, where Captain Falcon goes and has a drink in the pub, and some old guy stops him, and as you're about to find out, Captain Falcon is very confused over this.
What a scam! That's a 2 million space credits! Ha! What can I do with this one coin? You're the famous Falcon. Please, I beg of you, enter the bet race. What? Wait. Please, consider it an old man's last request.
Just calm down, old man.
We will
just calm down, old man.
Yeah. The Star Wars bar.
Your character likes chocolate.
Yes, I'm trying to portray that as much as I can in the bar.
I wish I could remember some of the.
You have any chocolate?
Your character loves chocolate.
And like a bourbon straight up and a Hershey bar.
What I love about this scene, however, is that the fact that they ask you to call that character Old Man, when in the F-Zero lore, he's actually one of the like most recognized people in F-Zero because he entered the most races and he's like the oldest human who drives. And Captain Falcon's just like, oh yeah, calm down, old man.
Nothing ruffles the Falcon there too much.
No, nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Nothing ruffles the Falcon's feathers.
Hey, Captain Falcon, can we get an interview with Captain Falcon now?
No. No, I'd have to use the Grand Prix mode. So, no, but I'm playing the story which has more Captain Falcon in it, so that's why I'm playing it. This level is stupidly hard, because basically all the drivers they do a technique called rubber banding, which is basically like, so if you ever like pull a rubber band really hard, and then you let it go, you know, well, it kind of flings back. That's kind of what this does. So if the racers are like way behind you, they'll start like pulling back up, pushing back up to you, like at super speeds. It's a weird sort of mechanic that some video games use, and this one definitely uses that a bit. Paul, I'd like to actually ask you a little question about one of the characters that you may have done in a video game. So when I put up the interview of you, when I did it with you, I had a bunch of people ask me about a video game that you worked on called Tenchu Stealth Assassins as the character Rikimaru. Do you remember that at all? And if so, what was it like voicing that character?
Those names. Yep, I do remember those names. And I can actually remember the recording studio. I can't remember what voice I gave it, but yeah, I think I worked with Terry Osada on that. In fact, I'm curious, Eric, is Terry still in Tokyo?
Yeah, I just worked with her about a week ago. She was directing an educational recording that I've been doing.
She does a lot of that stuff, yeah.
Yeah, she's fine.
Yeah,
That's good. That's good.
It's always really good fun to work with. Terry Osada. Like Lisle, she did loads and loads of very recognizable voices that, again, back in the 90s and early noughties, everybody knew their voices. You might not know the names of everyone, but people recognize the voices because they just did so many. Eric has been there for about a century now, so
it definitely feels like it. Yeah.
I challenge you to find anybody who doesn't know who Eric Kelso is, or has never heard his voice. That's not going to happen.
No. Like there was even like funny you mentioned that. There was like my dad, you know, he was in work with like a workmate of his. All right, he was working, and you know, he didn't know Eric's name or anything. But my dad was like, oh yeah, so you heard of Jackie Bryan from Virtua Fighter? Yeah, I heard that voice. Did you hear Captain Falcon F-Zero? Yeah, I heard that voice. You heard Shenmue, like Ren? Yeah, I heard that voice. Like, so like, yeah, exactly.
That was the golden age, you know, like he was saying in the in the 90s and the early 2000s. A lot of video games, a lot of stuff. That work was pouring in. That was a lot of fun.
It was, wasn't it? I mean, like we said earlier, you'd go to studios pretty much every single day, and there's Eric, there's Lisle, there's Terry, there's there's, you know, if all these people that you always worked with. It was just we cycled around each other all the time, and
a lot of times when you're walking in, somebody is walking out, kind of, you know, because you have your
oh yeah,
you don't really work together that much, but you pass in the night kind of.
In passing, very much.
Now, Yeah, I've heard that definitely with actors in America. I've heard like they'll do a voice session and then they'll come out. It's like, oh hey, it's you. How are you doing? Right. And all of that.
But I think, Eric, you put it a good way. It was the golden age because it was just like Lisle said, family. You just felt like it was family, and it was such a good time. I'd say probably some of the best days of my single life were there in Tokyo recording with all you guys. That was the best times of my life, man. It was great.
Well, there you go. Humble moments with Paul Lucas right now. That's lovely.
You don't get them a lot.
No. Now, so we have another little level to do. So there's these gangster people, specifically a man named Michael Chain. And now we have to go and basically wreck all their cars. And all you have to do is you have to press the Z button on the GameCube controller and then they'll go away. So it's a little easier, but it's a bit long and tedious, which is a little annoying. But I do have a question for both Paul and Eric, because I believe you both worked on a big Japanese media franchise called Doraemon. Now, I don't think it was for the same project in that franchise, but what was it like working on that big series over there?
I did it as part of Gakken, which is produces educational materials in Japan, and I was the voice of Doraemon and Giant, and then Rumiko was in that. Rumiko Barnes and Terry Osada, and so we just did the English voiceovers of the Japanese characters. And then they used it later for educational things and stuff. But it was a big project because we did like 20 different units kind of thing. And it was a lot of fun. But I didn't know about it before I did it. So I actually had to go to the video store and rent some of the Doraemon episodes so I would at least know what the characters sounded like and try to kind of get it a little bit close to that. So, but it was fun.
Sounded good. Do it again. I want to hear Doraemon again. That was great.
Instead of like Doku Demo Door, it's like Anywhere Door! Doraemon! Anywhere Door! Let's go!
That's it!
So he's a little alien robot cat or something.
Yeah, he's like a blue cat. That's the thing about Japanese animation. It's just so wacky.
Yeah. Oh, it totally is.
But some of it is so stylish and so.
Oh yeah.
And I love the artwork that Japanese artists put into their work. It's really, really cool.
Oh yeah, there's some great artwork over there. But you did voice a little character as well, Paul, in that series. Now, it wasn't Doraemon himself, but who was it actually that you did?
I did. Lisle had mentioned voicing a game with lots of little funky characters, and I did that kind of thing for Doraemon. And there was what I specifically remember right now, off the top of my head, is a Doraemon movie. And there were some American pirates in a ship. This is all pirates in a ship where you might probably expect to find pirates. And I was some little stupid pirate. I was talking like this. All right, now we're gonna go hoist the anchor. Just silly pirate talk.
Yeah, exactly. Funny stuff.
That's hard.
Well, I beat the previous mission, so now I'm on the next one where Captain Falcon goes into this basically electric lightning plant, which basically kind of creates electricity using lightning. It's quite weird and sci-fi like, but in anyways, there's someone stuck inside the building and you have to rescue this person. And then you have to get out of the building as soon as possible before the whole building blows up. So That'll be a bit of a challenge. But going back to sort of the research that you were telling me about, Eric, about when you were researching how Doraemon sounded, I believe you did that as well for Woody Woodpecker when you voiced him. So what was it like researching that character and then eventually voicing him?
I think I kind of remembered Woody Woodpecker from my childhood, so I didn't need to research that one as much. But that was for Universal Studios game, and also at the studios, I think they use my voice as well. But I had to say like, "Welcome to Universal Studios Japan," and so just kind of like that thing. And I remember when I was a kid, Woody Woodpecker was kind of a little jerk. He was kind of really cocky and sarcastic, but they wanted him to be nice. So I wasn't able to play with it as much as I wanted to, but
the character of Woody Woodpecker is a troublemaker. He's mischievous, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go get him. Yeah. But they wanted him to be nice. So I don't think it was as good as it could have been. But
not as fun.
Yeah.
But he did like chocolate.
So I already knew that part, so I had that down pat already, so that was easy.
Okay, so when my character will come forth.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Go get it down.
Brilliant. Well, we saved the Jody Summer anyway, and now we find Black Shadow. So finally, Black Shadow and Captain Falcon meet. Are they gonna duke it out? No, they don't, because this story is absolutely ridiculous.
Falcon, you've come to die. I needn't have wasted time looking for you then. Let's settle this at the Grand Prix. Not like this. It's the coward's way. The coward's way.
Mm-hmm.
I just plan to eliminate anyone who stands between me and the prize. Simple as that. Falcon, take this! What are you doing? Come out, Blood Falcon.
And there he is, out of nowhere.
Is that Blood Falcon? Yeah.
Yeah, that's him.
That's my voice too.
Mm-hmm.
Farewell, Captain Falcon. You and Blue Falcon can die together.
Somehow Captain Falcon gets out of that and realizes there's a bomb on his vehicle. Great.
I remember recording those lines.
And what was it like recording Blood Falcon right there and then?
Well, we had Captain Falcon down, his voice. And so we had to make Blood Falcon a little different, but still, it's his clone. It's just his evil clone. So we took Captain Falcon and made him a little dirty. So instead of the good guy as Captain Falcon, we made him a little bad guy with Blood Falcon. So it was fun. I like doing bad guys.
What I kind of noticed when you did the laugh there, it kind of, I don't know why, but I got like a bit of a if Captain Falcon was Ren sort of vibe from that.
That's what I did, because I thought I'll just make because Ren has a little kind of a, how I got Ren's voice was two Jacks. I said this in an interview at a Sega conference recently. And Ren, I thought he's a bit crazy, but he's a bit he's like really arrogant and tough, but he's kind of stupid too. So I thought, okay, when you're driving down the highway and the rain is coming down in sheets, and you're in the Pork Chop Express, tell him Jack Burton sent you, from Big Trouble in Little China. Mm-hmm. So Kurt Russell as Jack Burton. So I wanted to make make Ren kind of like a tough but kind of stupid guy. But then I thought he was also a little crazy. And so I thought, okay, he starts off like Jack Burton, but then he can end up like Jack Nicholson. So when Ren says something like, all right, you can go to the docks, make sure you come on time. You know, so it kind of starts out like Jack Burton and ends up a little bit like Jack Nicholson.
There you go.
So I have that character. I kind of do that. I kind of think of movie star characters or animation characters and kind of which would fit and kind of work on the voices. And I thought that the Blood Falcon had that same kind of like, but a little more coming from the good guy, kind of smart Captain Falcon, and then you kind of rough him up a little bit. So he wasn't quite as cocky, but he's still kind of cocky because he's giving him shit, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, he sounds a lot like Red.
Yeah, there you go. But what I'd like to ask you about that scene is, you have Black Shadow there, who I believe was voiced by Jack Merluzzi. But I'd like to ask you, were you two in the same studio doing that recording?
No, not at all. That was, I think those were all done separately. Just they just give us our lines, and then, we don't really sometimes even know what the conversation's about or who the other person is or anything.
So you could have been given genuinely that scene completely out of context, but only your lines in it.
Yeah, because I remember when we were doing some mods for Shenmue, and somebody was playing some lines that I said in Shenmue or something, and I remember thinking, wow, I really read that line wrong, because I had to say something like, you bet, or something like that, But I should have said, I said like, you bet, but the situation was like, you bet, or something, It's so, I didn't know the context, and so my delivery was completely wrong. But I had no idea what it was supposed to be like. I just am reading just lines off paper. And so you guys have had that same problem, right?
Of course. Yeah. That happens on a daily basis. I would realize, well, I didn't do that the way it should have been done.
Yeah.
Because like Eric said, if you just get a script and no real context, it's like when you're practicing a line, how you're going to tell your girlfriend that you're going to break up. I don't love you anymore. I don't love you anymore. I don't love you anymore. Right. I don't. There's a million ways you could say these things, and if you're not quite sure what you're doing, you're bound to get it a little off.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And sometimes they, I've had people say like, well, I didn't really like that character. He was kind of a bit too goofy or something. And I'll say, well, that's what they wanted. We don't get to decide either, because there is a director there. Mm-hmm. And in Japan, they tend to like things overacted. And so it's not always what we want.
Yeah. And regarding the Shenmue line that you were mentioning, I do get what you mean there, because I remember one time I was doing a replay through Shenmue, and there was like one of those pink phone boxes. I think it was one of those, and I rang Guizan up as Ryo Hazuki. I rang up Guizan, and basically just asked Guizan, hey, look, can I come over to your place and just say, just have a few words? And then you say normally, oh yeah, sure, no problem. Oh, come over, no problem. So you go over, and I went over to him to talk just about something. And then I talked to him, and then Guizan's going, get out of here right now, I don't want to talk to you. This isn't the time. I'm like, what? There was clearly like a programming error that happened or something. I was like, what was that all about?
Yeah.
Let's
see. So, more often than not, you would have a translator there, somebody who can translate. But they don't always quite have, they're not, masters at English necessarily. And so, it's, they're not exactly sure what the nuance might really need in native English. So kind of just say, yes, sounds kind of good to me, and they'll just go with it.
Because I know in Shenmue there's a character in it. I don't think it's voiced by, it's not voiced by any of you, but I don't even know who voiced it, but there was a character, and basically the line that they were basically supposed to say was, I used to live in China, was basically the line they were supposed to say, but the translation was so off, the guy ends up saying, years ago, I was Chinese. And that became like a cult classic meme. That's how funny that line is.
Yeah. And when the actor is saying that, maybe he thought, okay, well, that's part of the story. These fantasy weird games, I transformed into a Japanese guy.
It's like one of Corey's famous lines in Shenmue is, I'm looking for sailors.
Yeah.
And it just sounds like so erotic the way he says it. But they should have just said, have you seen any sailors around here, or just something. But it's class as, I'm looking for sailors. And then he says another one, let's get sweaty.
Oh yes, that one. Oh god, if you don't know that one, then geez, you haven't played Shenmue at all. So go play Shenmue.
Hey Eric, and Lisle, when we were just a moment ago, we were talking about kind of not mastering the English that's needed for certain nuance and whatnot.
Yeah.
It all of a sudden came back to me, this one T-shirt that I saw somebody wearing in Tokyo, and they just kind of toy with the English language, and they don't really.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
Air that really makes sense. But this one really stood out to me. It said, "Let it easy be you natural way for everyday living. You will be always in good moody."
What? What?
Thank you, Google Translate.
I memorized it because I thought it was so whacked out.
I saw one time, there was a woman, Japanese woman, she must have been at least 80 years old, and she had a T-shirt that I think probably her grandson got in Mexico or something as a souvenir. But on the front it said, tequila whore.
Oh my gosh.
Oh goodness. Lisle, have you seen any English like that in Japan? I'm sure you have.
So many English. In fact, I had a similar experience to Eric, where I was in Shibuya, and there was a young girl, I think she was in high school, maybe junior high, and she had on a shirt in the front, had a big hook on it, and it said, Hookers Anonymous. I was like,
oh my goodness gracious.
I remember a little baby, just a little infant, maybe 18 months old, maybe max 2 years, could barely walk in a little stroller, wearing a T-shirt, teeny little T-shirt that said "fuck it."
Why not? Fuck it.
Oh god, that's too good. That's too good. Ooh, that was a bit tricky. That level gets a bit trickier up at this bit, but it gets better. But Lisle, I'd like to ask you something. Eric, we mentioned earlier in this little interview / celebration of F-Zero GX about you being in the Bill Murray movie Lost in Translation. Oh, what was that like now?
That was definitely a very cool, very interesting experience. But that was another kind of Mickey Mouse show at the beginning, because it was with a agency which both Paul and Eric know well called IMO.
Oh.
Yeah, exactly. And I really didn't like to work with them very often. Like, I had basically come up and talked to their manager after having some really bad jobs with them where, in fact, it was video game work, and the other people in the studio had never done a video game before or never been in the studio before. So finally I told one of the managers at IMO, I don't want to work with you guys unless it's a really bigger job opportunity. So don't ask me for these crazy, anyway. But so they contacted me about this job, and quite honestly, I had just seen the Royal Tenenbaums and did not like the movie. So when they're like, oh, it's going to be Bill Murray, I'm like, oh, well, he didn't do very well in the Royal Tenenbaums, so how excited am I? Not really that excited. But then I went to audition, and yeah, it was a really cool. I mean, everyone was there. It was like it really was a cattle call. It was like so many people there, like all these, and they were only looking, I think, for 2 female speaking parts. So I was like, I'll never get it. Plus, I'm through IMO. It's never happening. And then I never heard back after the audition. And then I think it was like a month later or something, they called me for another job. So I, call them back. I'm like, hey, this is Lisa. They're like, oh, by the way, congratulations. I'm like, for what? They're like, oh, you didn't hear? You got that Bill Murray movie. I'm like, no, didn't hear. So thanks for not checking out my schedule and all that good stuff. It was crazy. But Bill Murray was really cool.
I can imagine that being really cool and incredible. What a great experience that would be. Well, I beat the previous level, thankfully, and now we're gonna go to the F-Zero Grand Prix itself, where we get to see all the characters return. And whoa, this game's story is ridiculous. If I haven't told that already, have I?
Yeah.
Yes, I think I have.
Oh, there's Pico.
Yeah, Pico, there he is.
That was Pico.
The cyborg returns! Mighty Gazelle! The Emperor of Brutality, Black Shadow! And the Bounty Hunter, Captain
Falcon!
Well, still alive it seems, but I won't miss this chance to make mincemeat of you. Black Shadow, I'll show you. You'll never beat me.
That's it. Black Shadow, I'll show you. You'll never beat me. I like that scene.
Oh yes. It is a pretty epic scene indeed. When you go into the game and you get to this point, you're like, yes, finally, I'm gonna take down Black Shadow and I'm gonna beat him.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, I'll ask you another question, Lisle, because I believe you've also voiced a couple of characters in Japanese. So what was it like voicing a bunch of characters in Japanese?
Well, I guess one of the ones probably, I mean, I've done voice work for commercials in Japanese, but the big one that I did in Japanese was for Batsumaru, for Sanrio, for Hello Kitty's best friend. And that was in English and Japanese. So that was a little bit similar to the Doraemon that Eric and Paul were talking about earlier, where it was a big educational content, it was like a big rollout for all of Asia. I think that Sanrio did. Were you guys in that? In the Sanrio thing?
I think so. I just remember that name. It was very prominent. It was kind of a big job.
Yeah.
I remember.
Yeah, it was. It was hard though because Batsumaru was kind of like Eric's Doraemon. It's like, talk about konnichiwa, hello, everybody. And then, then I get to, and I was also doing radio at the same time, so I had to make them promise that they would only, I could only record twice a week because it was just shredding my voice with all this work, stuff that I was doing. And then I also had to sing, I showed up at the studio one day, they're like, oh, Lisle-san today is singing in Batsubat Koe. I'm like, oh my God. Kill me now.
Oh, God.
Tequila horse shirt.
I did need a tequila horse shirt. I totally did.
Oh, God almighty. Goodness gracious. And Eric and Paul, have any of you voiced anything in Japanese at all, or even attempted to?
No, my Japanese. Well, if they wanted something recorded in very bad Japanese, yeah.
What they do is sometimes they want us to say something in Japanese but sound like a foreign.
Right.
And so sometimes we have to do that. Yeah.
It happened. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
I did one for a beer commercial. Do you guys remember Brian Matt-Uhl? It was like the weirdest.
Oh yeah, I heard of him.
So we were like in the studio for a beer commercial, and they're like, "We want you guys to say, I love you." And we're like, "What?" It's like you for like winter, because it was like a new winter beer or something, and then I don't know, I was the weirdest. So the fuyu part was in Japanese, but they wanted it to sound like love you, so it was like this. Yeah, we had, I felt like it's crazy. Tequila whore.
Yeah. Oh, and I lost that one again, so I'm gonna have to try again. But you mentioned there, Lisle, about Brian Matt-Uhl. Now, he's kind of known in the sort of video game voiceover world because he was the narrator for the Super Monkey Ball games that Sega did. So what's he doing now, if you know any? Do you know what he's doing nowadays? What's he doing these days?
I have no idea. I haven't really been in touch with him for like 15 years. I don't even think, right? Probably, Eric, I don't think he's been doing voice work for a long time.
I haven't seen him in a studio in many years, but I know I talked to him once, probably 10 years ago, and he said that he was doing a lot of like English voice training for Japanese pop stars. So young Japanese pop singers, but they want to sing some of their songs in English, and so he was coaching them.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Go
ahead.
All right. Well, someone's got to do the job. That's all I was gonna say. You go ahead.
No, I was just remembering Brian Matt-Uhl, and I thought he had definitely a very narrator style voice. Yeah,
very kind of soft and kind of whispery.
So,
yeah. Whispery.
Well, he wasn't whispery in Super Monkey Ball. God, he was shouting all day long with that one.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I never knew him to be much of a shouter.
No, it was a bit louder for Super Monkey Ball, that's for sure. So there you go, little random fact of the day, and I lost the bloody race again. Great, well done, Jack. Good job there. And now, Eric, I'd actually like to ask you something, because I believe you've been writing a brand new screenplay for a little film that you've been trying to make called Sanity Road. So could you care to explain about that? Because I think it's great. I've read a little bit about it.
It's a feature screenplay for a Hollywood feature film. I've been working on it for like 20 years. Finally finished it. And I've entered it into a few international kind of screenwriting competition, And it's doing well. I won 3. I won.
Wow.
One in Milan.
Lovely.
Competition. Another one in India, and one in America. And then I've been a finalist or semi-finalist in another one from LA, Santa Barbara, different film festivals. So it's just a script. It's 112 pages. It's a full feature film script. And so hopefully, if I can do some placements and some higher placements in some competitions, it kind of helps my reputation a bit. Then I'm going to try to find an agent. My father is one of his best friends from high school is named Dennis Hill, and his brother is Walter Hill.
Okay.
And Walter Hill, produced all the Alien films and a lot of Eddie Murphy's movies and things like that. He's a writer, director, producer, a real big time guy in Hollywood. And so I'm going to try to see if I can contact him and just have him, steer me in the right direction, or maybe recommend me to an agent or somebody like that. So, it's a 1 in a million shot, but got to take it. And so that's good. I'm already starting to work on another film script with a partner, another American guy. So we're working on that, which will take place. The story is set in Japan, Spain, and Italy.
Lovely.
Kind of a spy movie.
Ooh, okay.
I like
liking the side of that.
But you can go to sanityroad.info, and you can see I made a website there explaining about my screenplay, and it has like a 2-minute elevator pitch video of me explaining the story and why it should be made, and the written pitch, and a poster, kind of a cool looking poster I made, a mock poster. But yeah, so it's just a screenplay. It's not a film yet. Hopefully someday it will be. And that's it. But it's a big project that I finally finished, which is nice to finish something. I really do.
Can you describe a brief synopsis?
The log line is young Billy is placed in a mental hospital for talking to animals, rocks, clouds, and God. And they all speak back, according to Billy. But like 9 years later, he's released from the hospital at the age of 18, and he goes on a mysterious road trip to find some answers. So is he crazy? Is he actually spiritual somehow? What's the situation with him? It's kind of a mystery the whole time. But it's kind of a road trip, and it's, how I described it, it's a Cuckoo's Nest meets Forrest Gump with a dash of the shame.
Brilliant.
Ooh.
Brilliant. Brilliant. That sounds good.
Yeah. So check out sanityroad.info, and you get a better picture of it.
All right, awesome.
Great.
You'll have to do that, guys, because I think it is a pretty good film idea, and hopefully just get made into a proper film. And thankfully, I beat this goddamn level after a couple of tries. And now, as you can see, Black Shadow, he's dead. He's killed. So, anyways, as you can see here, Deathborn. He's explaining that he's this super evil man and you should go and race him. So that's what Captain Falcon does. He goes and races them, which is what we're gonna do.
I've been waiting for you. Did you bring the champion's belt? Good.
Good.
Falcon, shall I tell you something before you die? Dark and light, the two great forces which make up our universe. These two universal forces are condensed in each of our belts. Didn't you know? At the moment when the two forces become one, it is possible to seize that power. Then I can turn this whole galaxy into a pile of ashes in an instant.
I love how he's just evil for the sake of being evil.
I'm just gonna destroy everything just because I want it.
Yeah.
Not if I can help it. I'll destroy you yet. Let's go.
Let's go.
Yes.
Not if I can help it. not on my watch.
And that's what we're gonna do.
Great corny lines in there, but I mean, I always thought that Captain Falcon was the classic hero, you know, and the lines just said that to me. So I know other people who voiced him made him a little more kind of comical or something, but I just didn't see that. He just seemed like the classic superhero to me, and not even a superhero, but just a classic hero. And,
yeah.
And the lines that I was given seemed like that. So
yeah,
the lines that I was given didn't seem humorous at all, and the direction also. They said he's a good guy and he's a hero, and so I gave them a few different voices, and they said, yeah, we like that one, so let's use that.
Now this guy, he is ridiculously hard. He just goes real fast, flies up the road, so you kind of have to beat him with skill or pure luck, one or the other, whichever is on your side a bit more, I guess. And while I'm at it, Eric, I might as well ask you about another little show that you did in the past, which was called Ultraman. What was it like working on that?
That was really fun. We did 3 different seasons of that, and I was Ultra Dark Killer, and then I was also Ultra Zero. He was kind of a young hero guy. And I mean, young. I mean, they're thousands of years old, but he was supposed to be like in Ultraman years, like a high school kid. And it was fun because, you know, as a kid, I watched Ultraman on TV after school.
Oh.
You know, when I was in elementary school, they would play it on some like UHF channel or something. You know, you have to get your rabbit ears just right. But I would go to my friend's house right after school. I was probably about, I don't know, 2nd or 3rd grade. And we would watch that. And it was really, really cool because it was Japanese. Excuse me.
No worries.
You know, you didn't get a lot of Japanese things on TV in America in those days.
No.
And so I'd watch that, and after that was also Kimba the White Lion, which was called, I think, Simba in Japanese, called Jungle Taipei, something like that. But those were on back to back, and it was just so corny and so goofy. These guys jumping around in wetsuits and, you know, fighting these other monsters in other rubber suits, and it was so corny, but it was so wonderful because it wasn't pretending to be real or anything. It's like, of course, they're just guys in rubber suits, but they were having such fun doing it, and it was great. And the, you know, the gestures were like, you know, and so it was really fun. So I got to actually voice a couple of Ultraman characters, and so it was like your childhood coming to life, and you can participate. So it was really fun.
Oh yeah, well that must have been a brilliant experience, especially with you growing up with Ultraman, and then many years later going on and actually voicing characters in the series. That's just a bloody dream come true moment there.
It was fun. It was fun, and everyone was kind of the same age, and we all kind of knew it from our childhood or somehow. And so when we had, like, you know, so many people in the studio at the same time, we had like 10 people in the studio at the same time for some scenes.
Ooh.
And then because of COVID, they broke it down to having us go in individually and take our scenes.
But what was it like having an ensemble of actors? Because you don't usually get that one during a recording.
No, I mean, 99% of the time you're recording alone for everything. And that was the first time. It was like, the top, the top 10 kind of voice actors in Japan, in Tokyo, all together. And we've never done that before. I mean, we all knew each other. We were all friends for years and years. But we had never all been together at a time like that, unless it was like an agency party or something like that. But it was fun. It was a lot of fun.
Oh, that definitely sounds it. Absolutely. I'd kill for an ensemble voice acting thing if I was doing that. That would be brilliant.
Yeah, a lot of people.
Oh, yeah.
And all names that you would know probably as well.
I'd say so, especially if you're familiar of the Japanese English video game voice acting people.
Yeah, we've been doing games since, like F-Zero and Tekken and Virtua Fighter and Shenmue and those kind of things back in the golden days.
Mm-hmm.
They don't do a lot of games in Japan anymore, the voicing. They do those mostly in America now, so
yeah,
that's a shame.
Yep. And I'm about to beat him. Yes, I beat him!
Yeah, boy!
Yes! Just made it! And there he is. He's so disappointed. No! How could he lose? So he just throws himself into a lava pit. Why did he do that?
Why? Boy, he's got a lot of pride, huh?
Yeah. Bit too much ego going on there.
I think so.
And there's Captain Falcon. He got the amazing super duper belts. It just attaches onto him. Oh god.
Gonna have a hard time going through metal detectors at the airport with that one.
And then here is probably the funniest scene of F-Zero GX, where you realize that the whole story mode was a complete load of rubbish because everything they throw out the window, break the fourth wall. Here we go.
Falcon.
Look, I'm over here, Falcon.
Who are you?
We are the creators.
What are you talking about? We created the whole world.
What a surprise! You beat Deathborn was our best creation.
Your best creation? So, it was you who set up everything. But why?
To tell you the truth, there are no universal forces. What?
Now you have become the champion of the two Grand Prix. We'll take out your soul from your body and turn it into our creation. Are you ready?
Come off it. You think you can beat me? No way!
There, whole story thrown out the window, gone.
Just a pawn in their competition.
What makes it even worse is that when you go into this, you can see right there, it says right there, beat the staff ghosts. So Captain Falcon is literally talking to the developers of the game.
I didn't know that. But I like the animation and the graphics in those scenes. It's really nice.
Oh yeah, it's very, very ahead of its time. For a video game, it wasn't like, ooh, never was that good in 2003.
Yeah, I mean, that's a long time ago, and those are pretty good, animated graphics and stuff. And I like it how the camera moves around to give it a really, you get like 360-degree angles and views of it, which really, I don't know, fills the room nice, and you can see the whole character. And I like Captain Zero's ship. It's real clean. It's simple and clean.
Oh yeah. Very good ship. Anyway, this level, probably easier when you realize how quick the rival vehicle goes. But it's hard as well because there's no guardrails on the track, as you can see. So you make a mistake, you have to start all over again.
Oh, no.
So that's what I'm going to attempt to not do. But my last question for you today, Eric, will be a little bit about F-Zero, because you may or may not know there was a new-ish F-Zero game that just came out called F-Zero 99, which was basically the
Switch.
Yes, on the Switch. And it was basically just the first one, but with 99 players. So, what I'd like to ask you is, if they actually go and make a proper brand new F-Zero, because they haven't done it in almost like 19, 20 years. I think this was like, this was the last console one. So they decide to go and make a real proper brand new F-Zero game, and they do the voice cast in Japan. Would you be open to voicing Captain Falcon
hell yes.
again?
I'd do it. I'd love it. That'd be great.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be...
Unfortunately, what they do for a lot of games, like Virtua Fighter and things, I think Lisle and I, we were just talking about that. But they, you know, you do all your voices and the catchphrases and stuff in the first recording. And then they just own the rights to those, and then they put them in all the different games, right? Like we were talking about. So I would hope that they would come up with some new lines, you know, some dialogue, and you know, build up the character a little more. But you never know.
Oh, yeah. Well, that'd be great. That'd be absolutely brilliant if they did. And then, you know, and you could have the best of both worlds. You could have the Japanese voice actor be the guy who does it normally for Smash Bros. And then you get the best of both worlds. You get both versions of Captain Falcon in the game.
Yeah.
So that'd be lovely.
I think I did a mod of Captain Falcon for the Smash Brothers mod or something like that. There was something that I did for What happened?
I crashed!
You dummy, you crashed. All right, go again.
All right. This will be the one. This will be the one. Yeah, as you're saying, the Super Smash Brothers mod.
I don't know if it was for the Smash Brothers or not, but it was some other kind of animation for the game. Something was going on, and he asked me if I could do some Captain Falcon voices for some different lines. I think I did about 10, 20 lines for some other, could have been a video project, I'm not sure exactly. But I did that a couple years ago. And so it was fun, you know. I love reprising characters because it's fun to kind of let them out to play.
Okay, we're close to the... All right. Don't make a mess of it, Jack. You're 5 seconds up the road. You could slow down and... Here we go. Here we go. Final corner. And... Yes! Yes! Brilliant! There we go.
There you go.
Finally, we beat...
Congratulations.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you. I didn't think I'd ever hear from the voice of Captain Falcon himself, but there we go.
There we go. Congratulations. Well done.
Thank you.
You get the belt.
Yeah, I'll take the belt. There he is. He just left. I don't know.
He just left, forgot his hat.
Yeah, didn't even care.
Didn't care.
And there we are. The game is over.
All right, bud. Good job.
Finally, thank you, Eric. Thank you. So with that, I suppose that's it. I suppose we'll leave it there for now. So Eric, Lisle, and Paul, thank you very much for coming on. And is there any sort of last things you'd like to say?
Have a nice day, everyone.
And make sure you play hard, play fair, because Captain Falcon doesn't cheat.
Lovely. And Lisle, what about you?
Time to die. Which is not even from this game, but still.
Well, you might as well voice a character that you do actually voice than a character that you might have voiced. So, yes, thank you once again. You could just find me simply on my YouTube channel, Jack Lucas Caffrey. You're already watching on my YouTube channel, so you want to watch more, subscribe, and if you like this sort of idea where I play a little video game and then interview people who worked on the game, please let me know, because I'd be absolutely down to doing this again. I had a bloody blast with this. So with that, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.